Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is Tropical Update number 44 on Invest 97, 98, and 99L. Yes, now we have three Invests. Of course, that area of interest over the Caribbean Sea. Now Invest 99L making its way north of Honduras towards the Yucatan. And then probably all indications are at this point potentially the United States as a very strong hurricane. We'll talk more about that. Again, this could be a very serious threat heading into next week. This is not a drill. Invest 97L, located over the Central Atlantic, a little bit of less model support than what it had yesterday, but again, that's going to remain out to sea. Same with 98L, that yellow area located about a third of the way past Cape Verde, heading towards the Leeward Islands. So again, we'll talk about those storms first and move into our big topic, 99L. 97L, its odds have gone up from the Hurricane Center from 40% to 80%. Model support is still kind of on this storm, but still, something that we're going to keep an eye on nonetheless. We'll see its potential for development. National Hurricane Center says 80%. I think that's a fairly reasonable assessment. Again, their next update will be at 8 p.m. Decent amount of convection with this storm, of course, doesn't have that closed low yet, and therefore is not a tropical cyclone. As we see a range of potential scenarios in the short term, as we head to about 2 days, that's where that European model picks up the storm, then brings it up and off to the northeast. Again, a wide range of strengths possible with this storm, anywhere from tropical storm up to potentially even a Cat 1. But again, it's out to sea. No major threats with this as it stands at the moment. But still something we're going to keep an eye on for a potential name before we get 99 to get a name. 98 also continuing to look decent, much less convection today than the past few days. But again, it still has a noticeable rotation to it on at least satellite image. Odds remain 20-30 from the National Hurricane Center. We'll continue to update you guys on this one if of course, the odds continue to go up or stay the same on this one. Model support, though, has increased, especially the European model. Much more support today on 98L than previously. But again, it's not going to become a monster system out in the middle of the Atlantic. It's going to be a relatively quiet one. 99L, though, is something that we're worried about. It does actually have pressure and winds now, but the odds are up to 80%. Of course, we see it's a large area. We do see it has a little bit of rotation to it. Of course, not complete yet, and it's very broad. So where exactly that rotation sets up is going to be key to where this storm ends up heading. 99L, again, has potential for significant impacts to both the United States coast and the Yucatan. But I think at this point, our main concern, although it's going to hit the Yucatan first and cause rainfall there in Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, Honduras, Nicaragua, places like that, going to get plenty of rain with this storm. The United States, Texas, Louisiana, and northern Mexico all need to be watching this storm extremely closely. And I can't stress how extreme enough, as we see here on these models, all of them taking this storm to Texas on the spaghetti models. We'll switch to the ensembles here in a second. Texas is not the only place that can be hit by this storm, but it's certainly one that could be impacted by it. We do notice a few things. One, if the storm is further to the north, such as the TVCN model, or that's that gray model, or that pink model on there, a bit further to the north near the Yucatan tip, the storm is going to have a greater impact on the United States. If it's further to the south when the center of this storm actually forms, such as that blue UK Met model on there, the impact to the United States might be less, and in fact, it might even head into Mexico. So that's kind of that story, though. But our main concern is these intensities here, as we see on the GFS model on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the ensemble. Not all the ensembles for the GFS have blossomed on this, but the ones that take it strengthen this storm very much. Of course, that one in the center of Texas brings this storm to Category 4 or 5 hurricane heading into Texas. Not that 99L is going to be a Category 4 or 5 hurricane, but that's certainly a potential. We look at the European models on the right-hand side of the screen, and there's a handful that are Category 3 or 4. Probably half of those models bring this storm to, or a handful are probably 4 or 5. About half of the models bring this storm to high-end Cat 2 or Cat 3 hurricane or higher. And all of them, of course, bring this to a tropical storm, if not a Cat 1 hurricane, into, anywhere from New Orleans down to the central Mexican coast, central mainland Mexican coast. So, and that is because these models are noticeably to the north. As we saw in the spaghetti models earlier, they were as far south as Belize. This one's clearly much to the north off of the tip of the Yucatan, between the Yucatan and Cuba. So obviously the chance of impact for the United States goes up. And again, if that happens, which is looking more likely, unfortunately, the chance of impact for the United States goes up. 6 days from now, those European ensembles, just to show you again the range of possibilities from New Orleans down into northern Texas or northern Mexico. There's again, like I said, 5 or so models bring this storm to a decent sized major hurricane. Half of them probably bring this storm to major hurricane status in general. And all of them I think almost all of them, if not all of them, bring this storm to a hurricane by the time we have a U.S. landfall. And again, that's about 5 to 6 days from now that this storm will be doing this. So it's not that far away, and people really need to be watching this storm closely, because if you aren't, this storm could catch us a little bit by surprise. Not that it will be. Of course, we have potential tropical cyclones for that exact reason, but the conditions over the Gulf are very favorable at the moment. And the reason that I say that is they're very warm, over 30 degrees Celsius, very hot. And the overall pattern for the Atlantic is shifting very favorable as we not only climatologically reach the peak of hurricane season, also the larger scale weather patterns at the moment are like the Kelvin waves are very indicative of strong Atlantic activity. This could be very devastating. And again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but I showed you guys the models yesterday, the GFS model yesterday on this storm, and it brought in a 940 something millibar hurricane to Texas. It brings a 930 something millibar hurricane to Louisiana today. The GFS has not backed off on this storm. As we see, the European is very strong on this storm. There is high model support. There is high potential. This is big. Let's just move to the HWRF. The HWRF does not make this storm too strong. Again, though, it keeps it somewhat to the north. Again, struggle forming. By the time we get to about 3 days, it finally consolidates north of the Yucatan and makes landfall up in Texas as about a Category 2 or 3 hurricane by the time we get to 5 days from now. So again, hopefully we'll have a center in about 2 or 3 days from now north of the Yucatan. And then, we have about 2 or 3 more days, and then this storm has landfall on what could potentially be the United States, potentially as a very strong tropical cyclone. Again, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but we do want to highlight that there is very high potential for this storm to inflict damage. And so this is just something we really need to pay attention to. I know I've said really a lot, but I really want to stress it. This is something we want to pay attention to. There are so many things we don't know yet. We do not know how strong it's going to get. We do not know where exactly it's going to go. I can't tell you where there's going to be the worst impacts. I can't tell you who needs to evacuate, but I can tell you that everybody from Louisiana to northern Mexico needs to be watching this storm closely and paying attention to the progress of 99L and its future name if it gets one, and it probably will, and potential evacuation orders that come with that. Evacuation certainly not out of the question for this one. Overall, the Atlantic overview here, looking at the GFS again, a little bit further to the north, and that north storm, of course, heads to the United States, brings a big fat hurricane into Louisiana. It's the last thing Louisiana needs after the past year. And again, a few other storms throughout the central Atlantic, but really no threat to land. Our main focus this next week is going to be this storm. One of the things I want to draw your guys' attention to, though, is that other storm on the other side of Mexico in the Pacific. Thankfully, that storm will be having outflow, if you will, back out across Mexico, across the mountains, into the Atlantic, and on to 99L's future system. And that could inhibit the storm from developing, at least to the full potential that it could. That's our one saving grace with this storm. So again, we don't know for sure what's going to happen with this storm. We do know that there's probably going to be something, and it has the opportunity to be significant. And so we're going to monitor this with everything we have over the next week, because this could be so significant. Taking a look at the European overview, again, you see those oranges and reds making landfall in the United States. You can see the correlation to those wind speeds up there. Again, this one's going to be has the potential to be a big one. We see 97L located up there, 98L located down there, and another wave coming off the coast. Like I said, the large-scale pattern, climatologically, this is the peak of hurricane season, or we're heading towards it. So again, let's just sit back, pray, hope that nothing too crazy happens over the next week. But unfortunately, it's looking more and more like that. And so we need to stay prepared if we're along the Texas or Louisiana coastlines. We'll have another update out tomorrow night, another update out Friday night, and updates maybe one or two on Saturday, maybe one or two as I can. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out. A lot of it depends on, of course, my schedule, but how 99L plays out and how often I need to do updates on that. And multiple updates may be needed in one day for 99L because it's such a significant tropical cyclone, or has the potential to be. So again, nothing's known for certain at this point, but 99L is something we want to watch very closely over the next few days as it develops. And that's really all I want to say for now. Again, we don't know the exact impacts at this point, but this one is perhaps might be the biggest one of the season, although last season we had 5 biggest ones of the season because it just kept on producing. So let's just keep your eye on this, sit back, pray, get your hurricane plan in place if you're in a hurricane prone area as we enter the peak of hurricane season and have threats on the horizon. That's all for now. Chris Dixon of Weather Catholic Media.